this is Kate from Generate Magic. So I just want to continue the conversation of be still and know that you are God, but I want to tackle it from a different angle. And so a lot of people feel uncomfortable with saying that they are God for many reasons. One, they might feel that it's blasphemous, especially if they come from a religious background. But even beyond that, some people might feel that it's egotistical and that it's kind of like this chest pounding or very kind of egoic way of saying like I'm more powerful than everybody else, or I'm just going to squash everybody else with my godlike powers. And I can totally understand that. And I used to feel uncomfortable with that phrase myself, or just kind of equating myself with God. But I want to talk about a new perspective that came to me, and it started with just kind of thinking about the news and the media in general and how we relate to the media. And so whether it's the mainstream media or whether it's the alternative media, I noticed a pattern. And sure, definitely a lot of the stories that tend to dominate tend to be based on fear, but which you probably already are aware of that, but kind of even going beyond that, I've noticed that there always kind of seems to be a focus on certain individuals and certain organizations and endowing these people and these organizations with godlike powers and really kind of putting them on a pedestal. And so this could be political parties or politicians, this could be certain countries, and or in the alternative media they like to talk about the elites a lot. And sometimes this is done and looking at this individual or organization like they're a savior, especially when we're talking about political figures or celebrities or just people that happen to be very prominent media figures, especially billionaires and people that seemingly have all this power. So it's kind of it's either seeing them like a savior or it's seeing them like a villain, and it's really villainizing them, or there's a lot of like fear that's also attached to them, and like such and such individual, if they get into power, then they're just going to ruin our country or they're going to ruin our world. And just as kind of as a side note, and this is just kind of from observing patterns in the media like over the years. I mean, if everything that they said on the media was true, it seemed like the world is always in a pretty horrible state. So it doesn't really seem to matter who's in power. So just as a little side note. But anyway, another thing that I've also noticed as a trend, and I think a lot of this is to kind of amplify the drama and to kind of pump up the ratings, but scandal also kind of seems to be a big theme, and the fall from grace, especially when it comes to celebrities, and the celebrities fall from grace. It always kind of seems to be a big recurring theme in the media, and this is not anything new. And you could even say this isn't really tied to the media. This is kind of more an aspect of human nature, and just this kind of this desire for we could call it like scandal, but it all comes down to revering these other people as godlike figures in the first place. Because otherwise, like if let's say that somebody cheated on their spouse, like it was just some like ordinary person, like sure, we would still probably not have a very good opinion of that person, but it's not going to get like all of this attention, right? Like everybody's not going to be talking about it. And so this is what I call kind of I guess the egoic side of endowing an individual with godlike powers. And it's no matter how you look at it, as either seeing somebody as a savior or a villain, it's very disempowering, because it's kind of saying that you don't have the power, you don't have any power on your own, and you basically are very dependent on this individual. And so the way that I look at it by now kind of from the perspective of being still and knowing that you are God, it's the complete opposite approach. It's recognizing that we're all on the same playing field, that nobody's on a pedestal, nobody's inferior or superior to anybody else, and we all have this power, this divine power. And I know the word power kind of has like a negative connotation, but that's the best word that I can think of to describe it. But we all have this power flowing through us and as us at all times. And it's just a matter of being able to recognize and to harness this power. And the way that this power manifests itself in us and through us, it's usually not as dramatic as it's portrayed in the movies, like in The Matrix, where people are literally flying through the air, the way that, powers, superpowers are portrayed in literally, in superhero movies or comic book movies or just action movies in general, I don't want to kind of rule out possibilities, and of course every experience and every possibility, there's infinite possibilities, but for most of us, our daily experience is not like that. And so it may cause us to think that we're not that powerful, that we are kind of weak and small, or this is kind of how I felt for a long time, that when I would see these kind of videos, these spiritual teachings talking about this stuff, I would think, well, this is all a bunch of BS, because I don't see people flying through the air like in the Matrix, and so it must not be real. And I think also just like in the media, I think a lot of these spiritual teachers do kind of use a lot of like certain language and certain analogies, and even thumbnails on their YouTube videos for dramatic effect. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I like a little bit of drama myself, but the point is the way that this God power, the spiritual power, runs through us is much more subtle, but I think in a lot of ways it's even more magical than how it's portrayed in the movies. And like I described recently, having a harmonious conversation with a family member where even that same day, I did not feel that harmony at all. And I did not think that conversation would even be possible. And just kind of witnessing these, these daily acts of kindness and kind of experiences just with kind of random strangers as well, where people are constantly just surprising you. And to me, that's what's magical. And that is really what it means to be still and know that you are God, is to recognize the presence of the divine in yourself and in everybody else as well. And it really kind of brings you into that sense of unity and wholeness. And when you look at it that way, there's no ego attached to it. And there's also no disempowerment attached to it either. Because I notice also in manifestation communities, a lot of times the way that manifestation is discussed, it is kind of in I guess egoic way, or kind of chest pounding way, and like, oh, I manifested a big bag of money today, or oh, I manifested some jerk telling me that I'm a goddess, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think everybody kind of in their own way, is kind of stepping into what it means to them to kind of recognize their God power. But for me personally, that approach never really resonated with me. And it also kind of on the flip side, for me, like being on the other end, and I know I'm pretty sure I'm not alone in this, and kind of looking at these comments, I was thinking, well, I haven't really experienced anything that dramatic in my life, and so I must be doing something wrong. And so either way you look at it, it's very kind of disempowering, but a much more empowering approach is recognizing that we all have this power. And in the words of Maxwell Maltz, nobody is inferior. Nobody is, or you are not inferior to anybody, and you are not superior to anybody. You are simply you. And the more you recognize this, and the more you recognize that we are each unique expressions of the divine, the more magical and the more beautiful and the more freeing that life becomes. And so that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.